Ready or not, good Friday afternoon. Golden Black Live. Brian Neubert, who has traveled miles this week, not only by plane and car, but also on the internet as well. But Brian, welcome to the show. Not much going on in the world of Purdue sports these days. I do want to get to that big win for Purdue and Clemson, but there's some other more pressing matter. Obviously, a little bit of a coaching search going on, and obviously you've been you've been in the thick of that. And as they say in newspeak, what's the latest, Brian?
It's just, I think where things stand right now, obviously, I don't know, we can't pin down whether or not Purdue has specifically offered Butch Jones their head football coaching position, but I think it pretty much goes without saying that he is the guy they want right now. I think if there's an offer hasn't been made, I think it's one of those deals that kind of goes unsaid. Butch Jones and Cincinnati obviously have a game Saturday, tomorrow, in Hartford against Connecticut. After that, I think all the attention is going to turn to where the Cincinnati coach is going to be next season. I think Purdue has probably presented a pretty compelling case to him. He's a motivated mover right now. The Big East is crumbling. He's got some frustrations at Cincinnati, so the timing seems to be on Purdue's side here. You have a coach you've targeted who wants to go. I shouldn't say he wants to go as much as there are a lot of reasons for him to go. The curveball here at the end might be Colorado. They opened up this past week too, and there are reports out there in Denver right now that he's the coach the Colorado is going to target. And it seems to me like the timing of this report coming out right before Butch Jones is going to make a call on the Purdue job or any other job that's been offered to him would seem like an effort to get him to not do something right away. Obviously, I think Purdue is going to want an answer here pretty soon, whether that be Sunday, whether that be Monday, maybe whether that be Tuesday. I think Colorado obviously is going to want to get an audience with him before he makes a call elsewhere. So it's just kind of a waiting game right now, but it looks like it's Butch Jones' job to accept or turn down.
All right. Well, how this show works, as Brian has delivered an eloquent opening statement, is that you can text amongst or you can put your questions in the chat room. Lydia will be happy also if you submit them as questions. We'll be happy to post them, and we will try to answer them. And of course, our sponsors too. We want to mention Hilton Garden Inn when tomorrow's a big day. State HGI tonight. Of course, Christy Kuntz and our good friends down at Hilton Garden Inn at Wabash Landing. Speaking of Wabash Landing, State Farm agent Trent Johnson just across the way from Wabash Landing. TrentIsMyAgent.com. And of course, Follett's Purdue Pride and Jeff Julik. Follett's Purdue's official game day outfitters and has been a Purdue experience in merchandising, books, etc. since 1945. All right, I know we're going to get some questions on this, but obviously in terms of how we've been through these things before, maybe not quite as much of an open search for a job. I suppose you look back at 2008 and when all that came about with Paul Chryst and obviously ultimately Danny Hope, but these things take on a life of their collective own, and certainly we've experienced that in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the problem with coaching searches is there's so much misinformation out there because you got so many people, so many coaches, and so many agents throwing their guys' names out there just to get their names out there, saying, "I'm a factor for this job, he's a factor for this job, et cetera, et cetera." It's really hard to cut through all the BS and kind of get to what's real. In that sense. Now, when we go back to 2008, this is a very, very different situation. Purdue has an open job right now, whereas in 2008, Purdue was trying to do the succession plan thing, looking for somebody to join Joe Tiller's staff on a one-year basis and then take over. So this is an entirely different situation. Purdue then was looking for somebody to walk into a relatively unconventional situation. Now it's got a flat-out opening. And I think things have changed a little bit in the sense that Purdue has kind of got its ducks in a row here to compensate its coaches a lot better than it has in the past. I think we've reported that they've gotten their stuff together here to where they are willing to go upwards of $4.5 million per year for their entire coaching staff. That's not the head coach, but it's safe to say the head coach could be paid north of $2 million now, which would be a pretty significant increase based on past standards. So pretty much everything has changed now.
Yeah, and you look at this, we have several questions already. One's talking about what would Colorado Colorado offer that Purdue could not? Could Purdue pay as much? And you talked about that a little bit in the open, but the difference, at least what we're hearing, that that Colorado might be trying to package together in terms of dollars.
I think they can be pretty competitive with what Purdue is willing to offer. We just talked about that estimate of around $4.5 million per year for Purdue. From what I've been told from people at Colorado, they can go in that same range. The Pac-12 now has a new TV deal, so there's a little bit of money, a little more money there for Colorado. They weren't paying John Embry hardly anything. They had a very small buyout there, so I think they've got some money to play with. I think some of their boosters stepped up too here in the last couple weeks and months to get rid of Embry, and also to kind of build up their war chest a little bit where they can go out and get somebody competitive.
Yeah. All right, just the questions flowing in. One commenting on your attire today, saying they like it, which is good.
Thank you.
Also, if Butch Jones goes to Colorado or maybe Tennessee, who does Purdue target next? That's been some things we've kind of tried to work on. Yeah. It's kind of hard to figure out at this point, but talk about some of the names that might be out there, because you have to be ready if you're Morgan Burke in this process for this, and you know that they are.
Well, when the search more or less started a couple weeks before the firing actually occurred, Purdue focused on two head coaches right off the bat. That was Sonny Dykes of Louisiana Tech and, of course, Butch Jones. Things have gotten pretty advanced with Butch Jones here now, so he's the guy we've kind of focused on. Sonny Dykes, I don't really have a whole lot of reason to believe he's really serious about Purdue. He interviewed at NC State. There's a couple SEC openings he could factor in for. If it turns out, perhaps, that he doesn't get something in the South that he might be more inclined to take than Purdue, I suppose maybe he could come back on the radar screen if Purdue doesn't get Butch Jones. Other than that, Purdue's been in contact with countless coaches. What direction they would head after those two names, there just isn't any telling at this point. You look at Tim DeRuyter out at Fresno State. He's a guy who has a pretty good background, a pretty impressive guy. They've had some contact with him. Now, of course, they've contacted so many people. That contact alone isn't necessarily an indication of sincere interest. They'll probably look at the NFL landscape when you look at who Morgan Burke is getting advice from in this process. Bill Polian, Ryan Griggs, and Rick Smith. They've obviously got a thorough working knowledge of the NFL landscape. So Purdue's going to look at NFL people, preferably with head coaching experience too. That's a pretty hard balance to find, but I'm sure there are people out there at the professional level that they'll take into consideration.
One that we've looked at and have no real reason to think that Purdue's interested. Dirk Cutter, obviously.
Yeah, that's just based off his resume.
Yeah, right, totally.
Yeah.
And with the Atlanta Falcons and the fact that he obviously has, as Purdue fans may remember, coached against the Boilermakers in the Sun Bowl while at Arizona State, and has been in the league for a couple different, and now obviously coaching Matt Ryan at Atlanta. I don't know where to start with these questions. Can the pot? Is there any chance that $4.5 million pot can be sweetened if necessary? Last time I checked, they haven't called us for any financial update.
Yeah.
But again, I'll speak to that just a little bit. There's some signs that maybe it can be some, but we don't really know that for sure. And I know that Morgan Burke on Sunday night really was clear to say, we meaning Purdue will be competitive. And you have to think there's some flexibility there. How big of a factor, if any, and you know a lot about this process, but about the Butch Jones's buyout, is that a factor in this situation at all? And what is it, Stacy? You said 1.6 million, 1.4 million.
1.4, yeah, it's obviously
at UC.
Yeah, that's obviously something to take into account. That's a lot of money to have to get together. But Purdue's gotten to the point now where they've got this money together to pay their next staff. You would think that they would be able to get some more together. And on top of that, I don't think you go into this process not expecting to have to pay some money to get your next coach. So I'm sure there's a plan in place.
Yeah, absolutely on that front. And we have Robert Marv, who will be joining us in the next segment, has come in and he stopped us in our tracks. But and so did Matt Rector too. I want to be on the record saying that. No, we're glad to have them there, and a lot of these questions will be for Robert, talking about bowl opportunities. I
can answer them.
Well, we'll let you guess, just like the rest of us. But and then of course in segment 3 today, Kyle Charters will be joining myself and Jerry Palm, who will also guess on whether Purdue's going to be picked for Houston or for Dallas. So, all right, you can lay your thoughts on that. Where do you want to go for? You won't be going. So, but where do you think Purdue's headed for the holidays?
I don't know where they're going, but I think it would be good for Purdue to go to Dallas. You've had quite a bit of exposure in Houston already, playing at Rice last year. Obviously, the basketball team played in the NCAA tournament in Houston a couple years ago. I think it would be good for Purdue to get some exposure in Dallas.
All right, another question. Jake S. Mac attacked, talking about Dave Doran at Northern Illinois and obviously Kent State's coach Hazel talking about, is there misdirection by both with statements saying they're not available, interested in Purdue's coaching position? You've never seen misdirection before in these kind of deals, have you?
One thing about coaches is they don't like to get caught in lies. So when Darrell Hazel comes out and says he'll be back at Kent next year, he didn't give himself a lot of wiggle room, if I read that quote correctly. That doesn't mean, though, that people won't try to hire him, and things always change. These situations are always pretty fluid. As for Dave Doran, I would not expect him at Purdue. He made that very clear, I think, in what we reported, that he's not under consideration. I think what happened was the assumption that he was going to Purdue was out there so long, it started to really affect Northern Illinois in recruiting, so he felt like he had to do something. That doesn't mean he will be back at Northern Illinois next year, much to Stacey Clarity's chagrin. But I would expect him to be a factor at NC State, and I'm sure if Colorado doesn't get Butch Jones or whoever else they're targeting, they might look at him as well.
Yeah, Stacey's a very unbiased reporter, however, not when it comes to the Huskies in Northern Illinois, her alma mater. We should stay, but State. But looking at the situation too, from a timeline standpoint, again, it's really a game where it's anyone's guess. Obviously, Purdue will have a bowl announcement on Sunday night, and that will be an exciting time just to find out where you're going. But this thing, as you've mentioned before, you never know when it's going to end until it ends.
ASAP is when you want it wrapped up. Obviously, the next coach has to come in, get the groundwork laid, start recruiting. You also don't want these things to drag out too much, because the longer they go, the more public they get. History tells us the more likely that they are to fall through for one reason or another. So if Purdue can get its guy wrapped up as soon as physically possible, I think that's the preference.
All right, we got a completely off-the-wall question here about why the Golden Black group is no longer on JMV in Indy anymore, and that's not always true. JMV, though I used to be on every week last year, and Brian was on, it may have been something we said, I don't know. Maybe it's because IU basketball is big. All those questions or comments in the question are probably could hold some truth to it. I know that I was on with Michael Grady this morning, talking Purdue basketball and Purdue football, but we don't. JMV is still Texas for information. We don't take that personally. We do like him being on the show, and he's been on our show a time or two. Are you heartbroken that you haven't been on there this year?
This isn't even on my radar screen.
That's right. It's Dan Dockich more than that. So, all right. Well, anything else that we should be thinking about with respect to this? It's something that does change every not necessarily on the hour, but it's a fluid situation, and that will make it interesting, I suppose. Does this process, in all the years you've been covering it, our friends at Twitter certainly tend to make this an interesting experience for everyone. And
Yeah.
and we're not going to pepper Matt or Robert necessarily about the coaching thing, but it does make for it's more of a game of who do you trust, isn't it?
Now that Twitter's on the job, I think we all have to be very careful about what we believe. You go back to the Matt Painter situation a couple of years ago. Matt Painter took the Missouri job at least 3 dozen times,
Yeah.
according to Twitter.
Yeah.
And I just, somebody reads somebody's opinion on Twitter, retweets it, somebody picks that up, it turns into somebody reporting it's true, and then all of a sudden it becomes true, gets retweeted 1,000 more times, and all of a sudden it becomes reality. See, the thing about the internet is reality doesn't matter. It's what people will believe a lot of the time. And that's kind of what happened with the whole Painter thing. That's what happened with the ball rack thing. I mean, we've seen all sorts of rumors here through the course of the last couple of years, where as soon as Twitter gets involved, it's just a complete steel cage match. Nobody knows, what's going on.
All right. Well, let's hope for a soft landing on all this, and from Purdue's standpoint, a good situation as this all comes to pass. All right, we're going to knock Brian off the show and bring in Robert Marvin, Stacey Clarity, and we'll be talking We still want to. We have lots of questions already for Robert. We might want to. I certainly want to ask him about his running skills and how he can run a guy down the way he did. One of the great plays in the history of Purdue football, in my view. So we'll talk to Robert about that as well. Stay tuned. Come back in 2 minutes, and there'll be more, much more, on Gold and Black Live.
To the Purdue game? Stay at Hilton Garden Inn, West Lafayette at the Wabash Landing. Your family will love the well-appointed guest rooms, the pool, whirlpool, fitness center, the breakfast buffet, and the amazing Hilton Garden Inn staff. Located just 4 blocks from Purdue University, Hilton Garden Inn has long been the choice for Purdue fans. Call today for a reservation and make Hilton Garden Inn your #1 choice.
Who's that wearing red and white in the land of black and gold? It's Santa! Checking out all the holiday goodies at Follett's, like gift cards, perfect for any Purdue fan. Official Purdue basketball sportswear, including pink crew tees. Head for Follett's to find Purdue stocking stuffers. Snapback caps, one size fits all. Columbia jackets, Champion hoodies, and Ping golf wear. Keeping all of Santa's elves toasty warm. Follett's Purdue bookstores. Lots of convenient North Pole locations.
Good driver? We've got a discount for that and a lot more. See State Farm agent Trent Johnson to make sure you get all the discounts you deserve on your car insurance. Saving you money? It's just part of being there. Call or visit Trent today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, segment 2. It's gotten a lot better in here with Robert. I shouldn't say that about Brian. Robert Marv, Stacy Clarity in here. Actually, that's not true. Just because Matt Rector and Brian Newbert are off on the sideline, it has nothing to do with that. But Robert, welcome to the show, and we're glad to have you here. You know, first of all, I'll start with just the fact that you have a game like you played the way you've played here the last several weeks, but also the ability to win the bucket in an exciting fashion. And we'll get into the specifics of that, but what that meant to end the season the way it has.
You know, it was a true blessing. It was a great opportunity for our team to get bowl eligible, and to get the win was a big deal for us. So we knew going the game and kind of treated it like a playoff game, and we knew we needed it bad, and we gave it all we got, and it came out right.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, still the play that we'll remember. I know it was a pick, so 138 passes in a row, so you don't even want to talk about that.
Right.
But what went through your mind? And you watch you on film, and you kind of pause for a second because you could see the ball's intercepted, but then you take off. Was it just as simple as, I got to run this guy down?
Right, it was kind of unreal for a second. You know, I saw the ball bouncing around, and as a quarterback, I'm like, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. And then he ended up catching it, and I don't know, so it just got into me, I guess. I said, it's time to go, let's go get him. So went after him, it ended up pretty well, and you know, I laughed about it afterwards. It was pretty funny.
Have you had a tackle before?
Maybe on a couple different other picks.
That was a pretty good tackle, though.
That was a great
you went
tackle.
Right at him.
Best crossbody I've seen since a long time.
Yeah, my dad was pretty proud of me. You know, he's a defensive guy, so he didn't talk about any of the touchdown passes. All he talked about was the tackle.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right from that standpoint. Talk about, you know, what's come in, obviously, since you've been in the starting lineup, and it's been an interesting experience, obviously, at Purdue, but this team has developed some confidence, obviously winning 3 straight games down the stretch. What do you think, as you begin practice for the bowl and once you find out your bowl opponent, but what from a confidence standpoint offensively, where do you think the team is right now?
I think we're in a very, very strong place right now. I think we found our identity. We're putting up big numbers and we're scoring points with it. So Coach Higgins has done a great job with us. And, I just want to throw it out there. Whoever picks up that guy is getting a great coach. One of the best I've been around. And, he got put in a weird situation. But I thought Coach Higgins did a great job with me, great job with the offense. And we found our identity. We got the ball rolling a little bit. And, looking forward to the bowl game.
Yeah.
After Notre Dame and after the injury, I know the next week or whatever you came and told us, I'm coming back, but what did you envision that you could be?
It was one of those things I just kind of put it up to the Lord. I prayed a lot about it. I didn't understand why it happened. I thought I played pretty well in the Notre Dame game. I felt like we gave us a great shot at the end of the game. And, I was kind of confused, but I knew that, it couldn't hurt to stay positive and work hard and to get after it. So that's what I did, and it worked out for me.
What became because you think ACL injury, and I think I don't say many things publicly, but I thought to myself, and maybe I said it publicly, I'll eat my hat if he plays again. He's got an ACL injury. I mean, what did from a medical staff standpoint, did they tell you right away, hey, I think he can play? I mean, or were you just so determined to get it done that you were going to do whatever it took?
Doug, our top trainer, did a great job. He said he's worked with other athletes who's done it before, but like you said, I had other opinions, people telling me not to do it, people saying it might not have been the best idea. If I go down again, that'll mess up some more cartilage in the knee, but it was something, your back's kind of against the wall, and going through it again and kind of seeing how my body was reacting to it, I was bouncing back faster after this one, and I felt like it was possible, and I really got to thank the training staff for helping me the way they did.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you ever thought this would happen, though, right? I mean, the way you've played is, we keep talking about it. It looks like you're not even hurt.
Right. Before I got hurt, I thought I was going to have a pretty solid season. I felt different at the spring game. I felt different during practice. I was trying to get more demand. I felt like I had my hands on the offense better. So I thought I could have a year like this. I thought there would be more games that I would have. But, bouncing back, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew the team needed me, and I wanted to be there for the team. So it worked out.
Now you're 23,
23.
going on 30, they say, but to some extent. But I got a kick, and yet I think there's probably some reality to this. But even with Coach Danny Hope saying this, and I think maybe even Gary Nord and down to Patrick Higgins talking about the light bulb coming on. Was it? Do you buy that statement, or was there a time this year where you said, hey, after all this experience, all I've been through, there are a few guys in the history of NCAA football that have been through more than you have in your tenure at playing, but is that true? Did you feel like there's something that clicked with you this year or the last few weeks this year that's different, or do you just feel like this has been a natural progression?
It goes all the way back to spring football for me. When I started playing the way I was playing in spring, I knew I was going to have a good year, and I knew I needed an opportunity, and we played Easter in the first game, and I had a strong game, and I knew I needed to keep building on it. So that's when I got hurt. I knew if I can just get back to a point where I'm healthy enough, because mentally I was at a place where it matched my talent. So I wanted to get back to a place where I can just kind of pitch and catch, get the ball out. Now, do I think I'll be running the way I am? No, but mentally I knew I was ready to take on the challenge of carrying the offense and helping us win.
A lot of questions on it. One other one I wanted to ask you about was if you want to call the rundown of the interception one of the great plays, but also the play against Iowa and the drive, the very short drive, but the 17-yard run. Again, total reaction. But did you ever stop to think long enough about that situation? You had to get the yards. You were running out of time, but you made a huge play. Take us back through that one.
That game was crazy. I was really kicking myself in the butt when I fumbled the snap. We were up 10 going into the fourth. I thought we were in a great place, at Iowa, up 10 fourth quarter, fumbled the snap. Now we're only up by 3, and I knew I needed to make a couple plays to make up for that. And, when there was 16 seconds left, it's kind of like we need to make something happen now. I didn't want to turn over the ball. So the opportunity there was to take off, and, I thought that was a safe route to go. And, you know, when I pushed the go button, it went. So I got after it and got the first, and then Breeze made a great catch on the next play.
Yeah, no rug burns from the head first slide or anything like that. No, you were good?
No, I had one on my arm.
Okay.
I came into the Tuesday press conference with that.
Right.
Okay.
I always
I
make
missed
fun
that.
of the other guys about having a little turf burn and how that can't hurt, but it's not.
It hurts.
It's not a great experience at all.
Yeah, I know, but you got to get up and huddle up right again. Go ahead, Stacy.
How personally rewarding is this for you, what's happened the last, 3 or 4 weeks?
It's a huge blessing, you know. It's been a long road, but it's definitely been worth it, you know. And you know, Coach Hope said some stuff to me when I was coming back, and you know, a lot of credit goes to him. You know, it's hard for a coach to give the offense to a guy who's torn his knee 3 times and not sure if he can go anymore, and not sure, you know. And he did a great job keeping me together mentally and giving me the opportunity to come back. But it's been a blessing. It's been crazy, but I'm really looking forward to the bowl game, and I can't wait to go play in Texas.
Yeah. And obviously, you'll find out about that on Sunday. Any preference between Houston and Dallas? I mean, would you rather play on New Year's Day, which is more that traditional growing up, I'm going to play on New Year's Day, or would you have the opportunity to play in Reliant Stadium where maybe the best team in the NFL is playing these days?
Right. I'm just looking for the W right now. I want the win more than anything. I don't really mind if it's in Houston or Dallas. You know, I feel like our fans will support us in either place we're at, and I'm looking for the win. I'm looking to play a fun opponent.
Yeah, no question.
Are we going to these questions?
Yeah,
or do
go
you want me
ahead.
to-
Fire one away.
Andrew asks, well, first he says you are a shining example of being a never say die player.
True.
Have you ever given coaching a serious thought?
I have. My dad tells me that all the time. But, you know, I'm not sure if it's for me or not. I love coaching. I don't know what level it would be on, but I'm very big into X's and O's, so there's a lot still I need to learn. But it is something I think about.
You look at film study and having the opportunity to work with a Gary Nord and a Patrick Higgins, but learning that, is there a tremendous, I think about guys that come in, when you think about guys that come in, Johnny Manziel, or guys that are freshmen that can come in and make an impact, and you obviously as a redshirt freshman getting a chance to start in college. How hard is that to do? I mean, in terms of having to learn and all the stuff that you have to know to be able to get into, to understand all the nuances of playing quarterback at this level.
It's very difficult, and you know, I give props to all them guys who do it. I know through my experience, it's kind of like learning a new language. You know, people don't understand just the terminology. It's so much different than high school, and you know, and it helps too when you're on. You know, certain guys get put in rough situations where their team might not be as good, and you're counting on them, and other guys like the Texas A&M quarterback who's just doing it. So he's a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. Another question on there, any comments on your future in the NFL? Do you think your knee would allow that? And of course, the person wish you best of luck, but talk about that. Obviously, you're a guy with a lot of skill. What do you think? Is there any thought of that, or is after 6 years of college, you may say this could be your defining moment and hang up the spike, so to speak?
Yeah, you know, I'm not really sure what the road's going to bring right now. I know that my faith needs to be strong in whatever it is, and I'm going to be okay no matter what it is. So, you know, if I have the opportunity to play, I got to talk to some doctors at the end of the season and see where my knee's at, what shape it's in. But I feel normal. I feel fine. I don't do anything the team doesn't do. So if I get the opportunity, I would love to. And, you know, I kind of got to see what's going to happen. But either way, it's been a great experience. I wouldn't want to change it for anything.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting some of the comments you've made about being in Lafayette now for a couple years. And you had said it was a culture shock,
Right.
I'm sure. But now you really feel like this is home, right?
Yeah, for sure. You know, like I said, like I told you, it was way different when I first got here, and it was very slow and steady.
Yeah.
But it's been great, and it's been a great experience. It's been great at Purdue, and I'm looking forward to going back home to see my family and be around them more. But Purdue is something I'm always going to remember. Have a great positive feeling towards Purdue.
You know, and having grown up here pretty much and lived here pretty much all my life, we're slow, I'll give you that. But, you know, you look at that, and it is it maybe where your life was and what had gone on maybe this was the perfect match in some ways, just to have to come back to a place that may not be as fast-paced from a social standpoint, but a great place academically. I mean, do you ever look at it that way?
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I picked Purdue to come to. I know I needed to get myself settled down some and get everything together, especially school-wise. So I was very happy, and my family was very happy when I graduated. And so I got done what I wanted to get done at Purdue, and it's been fun to win in the last couple games.
So you're going to start your doctoral program along now, or I mean, are you taking undergraduate classes? Are you taking some graduate level classes?
No,
or what's been doing?
I'm taking some undergraduate classes and just kind of getting through the semester, and been focusing a lot on football and having fun with the last year I have here.
Yeah, no question.
I love watching. We talk about you running the guy down, but I was equally impressed with how high you got on the jump and bump. Like you're like off the ground. I mean, we know that you're feeling good when you can jump that high, but just to watch you celebrate with your teammates, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the year in the video series that we did for our site, but you have all these different ways to celebrate with teammates, right?
Right.
These different handshakes and everything.
Yeah, we got some characters on the team.
Yes, you do.
I'll leave it as that. But yeah, every guy has different handshakes. There's probably over 100 handshakes on the team combinations. But you know, I tell people, you know, when you lose, you don't realize what you have till you lost. You lose it, you know. And it was been one of them situations, you know. And they got taken away, and finally got to a place where I haven't, and this is my time, and it's time for me to have fun and stop worried about everybody's opinions. Just go out there and have fun and play ball. So Coach Higgins has done a great job with that, and Coach Nord has done a great job with that, and you know, that's why I'm kind of going crazy out there. It's a great time to be out there, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I think one of the things, and you had to wonder, I guess maybe if you were somewhat cynical, that you'd look at it and say, here's a guy that is a highly recruited guy, he's played at Miami, come to Purdue, and yet even in the part of the year this year when Caleb Terbush is, I think we have a great picture of you in the Ohio State game where you're not playing, and you're cheering him on the same way, and I think it was hard. It might have been hard for some to say, is that for real? How could he feel that way? I mean, how could you feel that way when somebody else was playing and you weren't? And how did you keep positive through all that?
You know, you got to understand that you're in a situation that's bigger than you. You know, it's not all about an individual. It's not all about throwing touchdown passes. It's about winning. And when you've been with guys, you know, it's like when you work and you work with someone for 4 years. You get to know that person, and you know, you start calling them your best friend and your brother. So we got to that level, and Terbush is one of my best friends, and have much respect for him as a man. So it's easy to cheer on Terbush, and he does the same thing for me. So there's a lot of respect in that, and you know, understanding that I was going to help and not be the problem. So any way I could help, that's where my mindset was at that time.
And you got some kind of salute, handshake going on there, which we could do often. I haven't quite figured out. We have some good Tom Campbell pictures of it. I know that.
I know I told him it looked like an arrow thing, but
Yeah.
like a Hunger Games. No,
Right.
no, it's not.
No, it's good. All right, and then obviously this past Sunday, a difficult thing as a player when you see a guy that's meant as much to you as Coach Danny Hope be dismissed from a situation at Purdue. Talk about that experience, and maybe not just that. You know, sure, it's got to have many mixed emotions, but what do you learn from something like that, and what do you use from that to take things forward?
You know, I think the best thing to do is understand that he was a great person. Understand that he's done a lot of great things for me, and you got to live and learn the way I look at it. And you know, I'm going to take the things that he's taught me and put it in my everyday life, and it's helped me become a better man, a better person. And so, you know, I'm just going to remember what he taught me, basically. And, you know, he's a great person. I know that people don't get to, you know, he's a coach, and they don't get to know him like that on that kind of level. But he is a very, very good person, and someone you love to be in a foxhole with, I would say. And he has your back, and he does a lot of things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't hear about, taking care of players.
And the mindset, do you think, of the team, do you look at going into the bowl, you play for him, do you play for yourself, do you play for the coaches that are still here, or is it some combination of all three?
I think it's all the above, you know. You gotta understand we were down in a hole, and a lot of people counted us out, and we knew that a lot of people didn't probably have a lot of positive things to say about us at that time. And, you know, we kind of, you know, I would always say we made our minds up, you know, and it was time to win. It was time to win. And, you know, that's kind of how we took the Iowa game. We took it as a playoff game, and we can't lose the last 3 games. So, you know, we got to take all that momentum we have. We got to, you know, take Coach Hope and everything he's taught us. It's been crazy with Coach Nord and Coach Higgins and everything, you know. So we got to put it all together, and there's no excuses, we say. So it's time to go out there and play ball.
Do you know, I mean, obviously we've talked to Coach Higgins since the decision, but how that'll change for you during the bowl game? Because, I mean, he's been up in the box, but I'm guessing now he's interim coach, he'll be on the field. Do you have you guys gone over any of those kind of details yet? Or?
No, we've just been talking about practice and how we're going to make it fun for the guys.
Yeah.
You know, he's been great on trying to change things up a little bit, you know, and he has some creative ways to pick up the guys. So it's been fun. He's making it an enjoyable time. You know, a bowl game is a gift.
Right.
So you might as well make the most of it, have fun, and play hard. So he's done a great job.
This must be a good question.
There are some
I just
good
saw him
questions here.
laughing
I'm not sure how
quietly.
to phrase this one. And some of it's a shot at our message boards. But if you've had to speak for the entire team, who would you put KK in a room with from Knucklehead Central or somebody? I mean, in terms of when you, and I'm maybe addressing the bigger picture. Obviously, you guys are in a totally different world than even student athletes 10 years ago in terms of it's all out there. I mean, you're going to get instant feedback from not only our knuckleheads at Gold and Black, but also from anybody that has a Twitter account. How, even in your 6 years of being involved, how much has that changed, and does it have an effect on you guys? I mean, or how much of an effect does it have?
Right. I think it has changed a lot, even since when I've been in school. The Twitter thing has made it a lot easier for people's opinions to get out there. You know, and just how to deal with it. You have to understand that fans are going to have opinions. You know, that's okay. And some are very positive and some are very negative. But, you know, if I get 10 messages, there'll be 8 of them are super nice, and there'll be 2 that you wouldn't enjoy reading. But you can't let that affect the 8 people who do. And, you know, and I think everyone deals with it different. Some guys, you know, it bothers them, I feel like, and other guys could care less. You know, I know a lot of the guys, if they get something bad, they like to retweet it and they think it's funny. So, you know, it's just a different way to voice opinions, and it is what it is, and it's part of the game.
And you've said this year you're among the I could care less group.
Right.
Just to clarify. I mean.
Yeah, I'm not too big on, you know, I love the nice
Right.
God bless and the verses. I'll take those all the time. But,
Right.
you know, yeah, that stuff doesn't really bother me none. It's people are people, and they'll say whatever they please.
Yeah, that is true, and we know that. And this is a tough question, but if you could sum up the Purdue way in 5 words or less, what would you call it? Now, I'll let you more than 5 words. You can say as many words as you want. The Purdue experience, the Purdue way in football, and what your expectations were. I'll give you 2 sentences to say that. No, what do you see?
You know, I would say family would be one of them. Belief system. People who genuinely care about each other. You know, and that's how I'd wrap it up more than anything. Just going, you know, I was talking to my dad last night. It's been crazy. You know, like you said, I didn't get a snap in the Ohio State game, and then now to where I've played 3 games in a row, 3-4 games in a row, having fun, winning games, and it's kind of been like a whole 180 turn. So, you know, and my point is that everyone's treated me the same way there. You know, there's no different from throwing touchdowns or Robert who's at rehab or trying to get his knee fixed. So there hasn't been much difference. So I'd say family would be my main one.
All right, that's a good answer.
How would you evaluate your play this year?
I think I'm playing pretty solid. You know, I'm really not trying to turn over the ball. You know, our quarterbacks have the saying, see what you throw what you see. Trying to give it to the young guys to keep it around. But my main thing is not to turn over the ball, make the plays that are there, and when it's not there, don't force it. And Coach Higgins has been pretty demanding on me on not forcing it and playing within the system. So he does a great job communicating with me. But that's my main thing. I think I'm playing pretty well. I have a lot of guys I think who stepped up. You know, like a guy like Ralph, man, he gives you all he got. He runs for 100 yards in 2 games he plays in, and then all of a sudden you're seeing shavers. Not one person has been tackling him. So
Right.
you're seeing this type of stuff, and then you got Crosby Wright, you know, a walk-on guy who comes in there and gives you all he got, and he's catching balls and. You know, in the IU game, they grab him at the 19. He gets dragged down the 1-inch line. So you got a lot of guys, and I can keep going on. You got a guy like OJ. You got a guy like Atavian. It is just so many guys I feel like have stepped up and have been more vocal. That makes it easy on my part to kind of keep everything in the circle, keep it going in the right direction. My job is to, and get the ball out of my hands and let them make plays.
It was interesting you used the term within the system, which a couple years ago, or was that last year?
Very angry about it. Yeah.
So full circle.
Right.
Yay!
System guy now.
I had to bite my tongue a little bit, but yep, kind of come around.
Yeah, that's a good way to answer. All right, I mean, look at the Indiana game too, and not only your play, but O.J. Ross's great play to get to the goal line and score. Crosby right dragging him, and Shavers' bump and grind. Well, I don't bump and grind. It was just mow over it the last 20 yards against Indiana. You don't have. I mean, that is clear indication this team is giving effort. I mean, and it meant a lot to you down the
Kurt
stretch.
Freitag.
Yeah, Freitag.
Shout out
also.
to the fullback.
Well,
He's been great the last couple
awesome.
weeks.
That was stumbling, bumbling. No one was trying to tackle him. He just couldn't stand up. But no, talk about just that effort, and maybe that's a way to permeate through the entire football team.
In defense to Freitag, he did cramp up pretty bad.
Okay.
And,
Hey,
that's why he was stumbling.
I think if I'm you, I'm very thankful he's in the
Right.
backfield blocking.
I need the big fella to keep blocking the way he's been blocking.
Yeah,
but,
no doubt.
I think it's kind of how we found our identity. Like I said earlier, we're playing for every yard right now. There's no time to run out of bounds, and that's kind of how I felt about the pick. There's no time to give up touchdowns. We don't have that, and we understand we're a fighting, gut-out team. So them guys are putting their heads down. It's nice when you got, people don't see the little nuances of football, how Crosby Wright is stumbling towards the touchdown, but you got a guy like Gary Bush on the edge blocking for him for 40 yards, and that's showing how unselfish he is. And then I see both of them. I see OJ and Gary Bush throw up their hands like they scored the touchdown. That was a great feeling to see. And those two guys have come a long way. Everyone kind of expects that out of players, but when you're out there blocking 100 times a game, it's easy not to care. So.
All right, one of our favorite questions for down the road, and we'll hit you up this too, is just to talk about your guys, the Austin Applebys, the Bilal Marshalls, and we know what Rob Henry can do, and Rob's going to get his chance. You don't have a seventh year next year, I know that. So
I'll look for it.
Yeah, but going to get his chance in all likelihood, depending on who he's playing for, et cetera. But talk about the development of the young guys and young quarterbacks, and what message you would send to them.
It's been a great experience with them, and it's been great experience from the fact that I see it much different from my 6th year than I do my 5th year now. And I kind of put my arm around them two guys, Bilal and Appleby, and they're both going to be great players in a different way. They both have two different talents, as they play the quarterback position. But there's a few things I give them. You got to work on your footwork as your base of being quarterback. And the other thing I would just say is what I said earlier: throw what you see what you throw. So keep the game as simple as you can. Someone's open out there. Get the ball out your hands.
Yeah. And yet, how do you explain, again, going back to the Texans A&M example, guys that come in and see it right away and make plays? Obviously, next year there may be some opportunity for a young guy to do that. Can a team, there's proof out there that teams can win with some level of inexperience at quarterback, but it takes a special person to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a lot on the quarterback, especially early. But there are a lot of guys who can do it, and I'm looking forward to big things from both of them, and I think their success is going to be as far as they can push each other. So I really like both of them guys talent-wise. Appleby's arm is very strong, and I haven't seen too many people run back there like Bilal can run, and he gives himself so many different more opportunities to get the ball out of his hand by that. But like I said, they both have two very strong talents, and if they can push each other, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah. All right, one more. I have one more question. Stacey, I'll let you do one more comment from Rob. Outside of the quarterbacks, what other redshirt freshmen or other guys that you see that might be big surprises next year, or guys that you think can come in and make a big impact as what will be redshirt freshmen next year?
I think the receiver core is going to be very, very strong at Purdue for the next 2 or 3 years. I like those guys, and a guy like Danny, he's made me a believer. I heard about this kid. He's coming from down the corner, around the corner, but he's made me a believer. The receiver core, I think, would be one of the strongest points at Purdue with the young players.
All right.
A lot of these are just comments to say kind of thank you for what you've done, and that they really appreciate it. Do you want to be? Are you concerned about your legacy here at all? I mean, how do you want people to talk about you when you're gone?
If I was going to have a legacy here, it would just be, it's just someone who never gave up. someone who cared for the program a lot, someone who wanted to win more than anybody. So that'd be it. I'm not too big on, you know, what numbers or who put up what or, you know, percentage and all that stuff. I love winning football games. That's fun to me. And for all the fans, I just would say thank you, and I really appreciate the support. And when the dark days were around, it helped a lot, knowing that people had your back and people still wanted you to succeed.
All right. Well, Robert, a true pleasure to have you here, and we wish you all the best. Practice starts, has that been determined? You can start Tuesday, and you will go, what will be the schedule? Has that been determined yet?
No, I think it all kind of works out after Sunday, and we figure out
Yeah,
who
you
we're playing, when we're
got to
playing.
know where you're going. I guess
Right.
that's going to tell you whether you're going to be playing on the 28th of December or on the 1st of January. Look to be the Boilermakers' two choices. Robert, again, thanks so much. We
Thank you.
enjoyed it very, very much. Stacy, we'll send you off into the sunset as well. We will bring Kyle Charters and Jerry Palm in here, and we'll talk bowls, and we'll be guessing with the rest of you on where the Boilermakers are going to end up come Sunday afternoon. All right, stay tuned. We'll have our final segment of Golden Black Live in a couple minutes, and we'll be back then. Thank you.